It started on a rainy night in a small, quiet village.
An old woman, known as Mama Elsie, heard a soft knock on her wooden door.
She opened it and found a basket lying on her porch. Inside was a baby girl wrapped in a soft white cloth. But something was strange.
The baby wasn't crying.
In fact, she wasn't making any sound at all.
Mama Elsie picked her up and looked into her wide, unblinking eyes. The baby stared back, calm and still. It was as if she could see through Mama
Elsie's soul. The woman shivered, but something in her heart told her she had to take the child in. The villagers soon heard about the strange baby. Some said she was cursed. Others said she was a gift from the gods.
But no matter what they said, everyone agreed on one thing: this baby had no voice.
She never laughed, never cried, never spoke.
They named her Myra, which means miracle in the old language. But Myra was no ordinary child.
She grew up quietly, always watching, always listening.
And little by little, strange things started to happen around her, things no one could explain.
By the time Myra was 10, the whole village treated her like a ghost.
Children were told not to play with her. Adults crossed the road when they saw her coming.
But Mama Elsie loved Myra like her own blood. She didn't care that the child never spoke.
What mattered was that Myra was kind, and she had eyes that saw everything. One cold evening, Mama Elsie fell asleep in her chair.
Myra sat on the floor beside her, sketching something in the dirt with a stick. Suddenly, she stopped.
Her head turned toward the wall, as if she heard something. No one else would have heard it.
But Myra did.
A faint whisper, soft as wind, came from behind the cracked wall. Her eyes narrowed.
She walked slowly toward it, pressed her hand to the cold surface, and listened. Myra, her name. She didn't scream. She didn't run. Instead, she began to draw in the dirt again. But this time, it wasn't a game.
She drew a house
with 2 broken windows, then a face,
then
a hand reaching out. When Mama Elsie woke up, she looked at the drawing and froze. It was her childhood home, one she hadn't seen in 50 years, and no one else knew what it looked like. After that night, Mama Elsie watched Myra more closely. The child had never left the village, never seen a photo album, never heard stories of the past.
Yet somehow, she knew things.
Things no one had told her. One morning, a man from a nearby town came to the village. He was looking for a necklace his mother had lost during the war.
A golden chain with a red stone. He said it was passed down from his grandmother.
No one knew anything except Myra. She walked up to the man silently and placed a smooth, wrapped
cloth in his hand.
Inside was the necklace.
Dirty, but still glowing red in the center.
The man gasped. How did she? He asked. Mama Elsie didn't answer. She didn't know. That night, Mama Elsie sat with Myra.
How do you know these
things? She asked, tears in her eyes. Myra looked at her and slowly pointed to her chest, then her head. She couldn't speak, but somehow, Myra was connected to something deep, something hidden, and Mama Elsie began to wonder.
Was Myra really just a child without a voice? Or was she carrying voices that were never heard? One stormy night, the wind howled louder than usual.
Trees bent under its force, and the sky flashed with angry lightning.
Mama Elsie lit candles and locked the windows.
Myra, as always, sat by the fire, eyes fixed on the flames. Then, without warning, all the candles went out. The room fell into darkness. Thunder shook the ground.
Mama Elsie tried to stand, but Myra raised her hand silently, telling her to stay still. From outside, strange whispers echoed.
Not words, but sounds, like old voices, crying out in fear. Shadows danced on the walls, though there was no light.
Mama Elsie clutched Myra close. Suddenly, Myra stood. Her small hand pointed to the door.
It creaked open on its own. There, on the porch, stood a pale woman in a torn white dress.
Her eyes were hollow, her skin like ash.
She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Myra stepped forward.
She placed her hand on the woman's chest. At once, the woman's mouth moved again.
This time, a soft voice filled the room. Thank you. The figure vanished into mist. Mama Elsie sat frozen. Myra turned back, her eyes glowing like soft moonlight. She had given a lost soul its voice. After that night, nothing in the village was the same.
The people who once feared Myra now watched her with quiet awe. They didn't understand her, but they no longer called her cursed.
They called her the listener. Myra continued to walk the village paths in silence. But everywhere she went, things changed.
A sick woman suddenly recovered.
A lost child found his way home.
People began to whisper that Myra wasn't just a child, she was a keeper of secrets. A bridge between the living and the forgotten. One
Evening. Mama Elsie found Myra standing in the middle of the field, her white dress fluttering in the wind. The sky was golden, the air calm. Around Myra, soft voices filled the air. Whispers only she could hear. Myra, Mama Elsie called.
Afraid and amazed, the child turned, her eyes gentle. She walked over and placed something in Mama Elsie's hand, a folded piece of cloth.
Inside was a small note written in shaky handwriting. Thank you for giving me a home. I may not speak, but I carry the voices of those who were never heard. Myra never spoke a word in her life, but her silence told 1,000 stories, each one a secret waiting to be set free. And the world was finally ready to listen. On